Folkens, hvordan går det I dag? How is it going today? Jeg føler meg ikke helt frisk. I don't feel completely frisk, which means that I feel a little bit sick, but I hope that I will get through this podcast episode without too much of a hassle. So let's dive into these two words, frisk and fersk, that can both be translated into fresh when we're not talking about people. And they do also stem from the same root word that means fresh. So what? It's not easy to differentiate these two because very often things that are ferske are also friske. So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail. But first, let's take one thing away from the equation, and that is when you're talking about live creatures and people. So if I'm talking about a person who is frisk, en frisk person, that means a person who is not sick. You cannot translate literally with healthy, because we have another word that means healthy, which is sunn. And that has more to do with lifestyle. So somebody who eats well, who works out, who takes care of his or her health, that's somebody who is sunn. Frisk just means that there's absence of illness. So you can have a horrible lifestyle and still be frisk. Okay? And for some weird reason, we say frisk som en fisk, which means healthy as a fish. And that probably was a good saying before, but I don't think it is anymore, unfortunately. Now, what about a person who is fersk? Can you say that? En fersk person? It is a figurative way to use the word fersk. It means that somebody is new. So for instance, if you have a new colleague, somebody who feels like a beginner in something, they can say, jeg fersk. Jeg fersk I jobben. I'm fresh, or I'm a newbie, basically. You could call it. I'm new, or a newbie, and fersking, a newbie. And this takes us to when we talk about food, because that in general is when we're going to use the words frisk and fersk. Not only, but we're going to start with that. So fersk mat. Fersk mat. That means new or newly made. Like ferskt brød. Fresh bread is nybakt, basically, newly baked. Ferskt brød. Nybakt brød. Now, what about frisk? Frisk, on the other hand, it has more to do with how things look and how they taste. So, for instance, frisk means that it looks like it's fresh, at least on the surface. So, but I wouldn't use it for all kinds of food. I would only use it for vegetables and fruit normally, because it has a connection with the taste as well. So if I say frisk frukt, then I can see that there's still like the fruit is still juicy. That would be one thing. It's still juicy. And it has tonus. If you have it in your hands, it's not completely soft and old. It has the tonus of something that has not stayed there for a long time. But you can be fooled because we have loads of fruit and vegetables that come from the other side of the planet. En frukt kan være frisk, men ikke fersk. If the fruit was fersk, then it would be like taken right from the tree. Then it would be fersk. Frisk just means that it still has the shape that it should have. It still has tonus and the taste is juicy. Frisk also means cold. It means acidic. It can also refer to a taste of mint. So for instance, a chewing gum, you would say that it has frisk taste. Or water, cold water, you would say friskt vann. Or some fresh air, frisk luft. Just because it's cold, it's also new or less polluted than the one you have inside, but it's more about the fact that it's cold and refreshing. Forfriskende. Refreshing. For some reason, we like to use the word frisk instead of acid, because acid, when we talk about food and we want to describe it, if you say that something is acid, it doesn't sound nice. But frisk sounds nice. And frisk juice. And then it's not freshly pressed. It does not mean that. It just means that the taste is acidic. If it was freshly pressed, you would say färsk juice. Remember? New. Fersk is new. So it's completely new. It just got made. Newly made. Fersk juice. If you go to buy wine, you will find a symbol on the description of the wine. Friskhet. Freshness. Basically, it means how acid it is. Yeah, how much acidity there is in it. But the word acid or syre or sur, syre for the noun, sur for the adjective, doesn't have very good connotation. So that's why we don't use that. So we would rather say frisk. So when you go to the grocery shop, you want to buy ferskt bröd, freshly baked bread. Färsk fisk, fresh fish taken directly from the water, hopefully, and that hasn't been lying around for a long time. Fersk. Hopefully also färske grönsaker, färsk frukt, but probably you're not going to get that. You're more in, at least not in Norway. But hopefully at least they are friske. They still have good taste and they still have their tonus. They're not completely soft, hopefully. Imagine, I think the perfect example, the perfect image of this are herbs. When you buy them after 2 days at the kitchen bench, they're not frisk anymore. They're just lying flat and preparing to die. So I think that's a good image to keep in your head of some of vegetables that are not friska. They look depressed. Leek as well. It's very obvious when it's not fresh, when it's not frisk anymore. It's completely soft and changes color. All right. Of course, I have to give you an exercise, as always. So, you are going to the store. You want to buy some berries. And you have 2 scenarios. You see 1 box of blueberries. And it says färske blåbär. Färske blåbär. And then next to them you see some strawberries. And it says friske jordbär. Friske jordbär. In which case are they saying that the berries were newly picked? And in which case are they saying that the berries look nice and that they have an acidic taste? Please let me know in the comment field below. Now, of course, we do not always differentiate. Sometimes we use one for the other, but that's the general difference. Yeah, that's the general difference between the two. And the best would be that the vegetables and fruit that you buy are both ferske and friske. But, well, in most cases, you cannot have both. Du kan ikke få I pose og sekk. You cannot have in a bag and in a bag. Good luck. Lykke til. Takk for I dag. Vi høres.